Hello everyone, this is Tim with Paintball Tek. I've got a rebuild video for you guys today of a couple of these ASAs. These are the CP or Custom Products Direct Mount ASAs. The older style, or the bigger style, which is this one here. And then the newer, smaller, more streamlined, or what they call the 2K5 style, which is here. I already did a video for these actually, but it got corrupted, so I'm gonna have to redo it. So here we go. We're gonna break this down into the individual ASAs by themselves. So we're gonna set this one aside over here for now and concentrate on the older style first. Now, because of the way these are designed, the pin that's in the middle goes down the whole length of the body that the cap actuates on to push and activate your tank. So to take everything out of this ASA, you have to have it off the marker, so these screws need to come out. So now to get into the back of the ASA here, you'll notice that there's a brass piece inside, and there's a silver pin in the middle. The silver pin's the part that actually activates your tank and turns the air on once the ASA is screwed on. To pull the brass piece out, it's not a threaded part. You just take a set of needle nose pliers and grab onto the two holes, one on each side, and you can kind of spin it and wiggle it back and forth, and it'll pop out. Then in front of that, you'll find the silver pin and another brass disc. To pull those out, you can just reach in with the same needle nose pliers and pull the pin and disc straight back. That's basically everything inside the rig itself, or the ASA itself. It's hollow all the way down otherwise. So to disassemble one of these for Anno, you have to get the caps off as well. I'm not going to show how to do that in this video, just for sake of time, and don't really need to. But you would have to remove the jewel, the plug screw, your macro line fitting, and then to get this piece off, it is Loctite onto a brass screw that comes in from the back side of the ASA. So the easiest way to do it is to kind of put the housing into a vise or something with like a couple blocks of wood, heat this up with a torch, and then use a set of pliers or something to pull it off. It should unscrew pretty easily. There's also an O-ring on the cap that uses tension to lock this in place so it doesn't loosen up while you're shooting, but those very, very, very rarely need to be replaced. The same thing goes for this one for dismantling the knob. The knobs are screwed onto a brass piece inside, but we're not going to touch that because we're not taking it apart for Anno. Now, these are the parts that have the O-rings on them. The pin does not have an O-ring. It just comes out as part of removing the other two parts. You can see the slot here. That's where these screws go in that lock it in place. That's why the screws have to be removed. The cap here has a hollow side and a flat side. The hollow side goes down against the pin when you reassemble it. And it has one O-ring on the outside here. Comes off like that. And then this flat disc has an O-ring on the inside here. That's what seals against this pin when it goes through the disc. Now, you'll notice that on this disc here, there's a groove around the outside. That's for another O-ring that kind of locks this disc into the back of the ASA, and that O-ring is inside here. To get it out, you just use a dental pick and pull the ring out from around the edge. It sits right before the lower ledge here in the ASA. So those are the three seals, and we're going to go ahead and replace those. The small one is a 015, or not 015, a 005. The one that goes on this smaller brass piece is a number 11-011. And then this one is the one that goes in the body. That is size, let's see, let's say that's a 17, yeah, 017. Yep, 017. So we'll set the old ones aside and concentrate on the new seals. So the 017 is probably the easiest one to put in first. Just kind of push it into the housing. It'll hit that bottom ledge, and usually it'll find the groove that's supposed to go into. You can see it kind of scrunched down inside there. That one little ledge didn't go into the hole, so just use a pick and kind of prod it into place. On this piece, we have the new number 11. And on this one, number 5 just gets pressed in like that. I'm going to add some grease to these. Number 11. A little bit on the cap here. And then we can go ahead and put everything back together. So the pin and the small brass plate flat in first. They just press down in. You're going to want to make sure that the pin lines up so that the slot is visible. You can see all the way through these holes. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to put the screws back in when you remount your ASA. And then this plate here, just grab it with your nail nose pliers and kind of repress it back into the ASA. Make sure that pin moves properly by pressing your finger up against it and cycling the screw. All right. That's the older style. Now we're going to go over the newer style, 2K5 ASA. This one's very similar in design, but a little bit different than the older, fatter direct mount. So it still has the same 2 brass piece and pin assembly inside. However, the holes are a lot smaller than the slots, so you need a smaller needle nose pliers to grab and pull it out. If you don't have a smaller needle nose pliers, you can use just a regular size needle nose, and instead of grabbing onto the holes around the brass disc, you can tighten your ASA all the way on, grab the pin in the center, and pull the entire assembly out in one piece. Just be careful not to fling it across the room. So now this body is completely empty, and you have the 3 components right here. So this is the small brass disc on the bottom, the large brass disc on the top that the same 005 fits in. And then instead of having the O-ring in the housing, on this one the O-ring is part of the disc itself. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these old seals off here and replace them. This one is a 007, same 005 on the inside, and then on the outside of the disc is a number 14. There's the 5, here's the 7, here's the 14. Now, the small brass piece does have a little tiny lip. The lip goes up when you put this back together. The pin has a rounded end and a square end. The square end is the one that activates the tank, so that one goes towards the back. So, I'm going to fit this piece on here. Then we can add our grease to the seals. Don't need a ton, just a little bit. You put the entire assembly back together like that, and drop the whole thing back into the ASA. With this open again, because that pin's going to stab you in the finger if you press on it too hard, just press all the internals back into place. This can be kind of difficult with a fresh O-ring in there. It doesn't always want to seat properly. Yeah. Check to make sure that the pin has free range of movement, which it should. And you are good to go. The other thing to check is to make sure that the that pin lines up so that the screws will pass through, you know, when you put it back on your marker. So that is the rebuild for the CP Direct Mount ASAs. Thank you very much. Have a good day.